So welcome everybody to the Sandy Arts Commission work session. Tyler, you want to give us an update on the urban renewal meeting?
Are we doing that or just jumping to Arts Commission?
Oh, excuse me,
Okay.
the recruitment.
Perfect.
I just read things in order by rote.
It's okay. So this is going to be the first venture of a re-recruitment process. Oh, I see Carl just joined us. Hey, Carl.
Hello.
We're going to go a little bit out of order on the agenda, and I'm talking about recruitment process for arts commissioners right now. So we'll pick back up there. So we have not done a full recruitment process since the initial recruitment back in, was that mid 2018 when the commission was first formed. We've done some onesie twosie things to get positions refilled, but have not done a full-blown process. So part of what I'm going to explain is what I envision, and the other part is going to be what Jeff and I still need to work on because we're developing a more comprehensive recruitment process for all boards and commissions. But I anticipate that in the next month or so, we'd be looking at opening those recruitments and starting to advertise so that we can get interested parties information, conduct interviews, and then get those appointments done by council, likely the first meeting in January. We have the application that many of you have seen, which is a pretty short form, contact information, what interests you in the Art Commission, what makes you a reasonable candidate for the role. I don't foresee that process changing unless the commission's looking for some more detailed information about the candidates. I would also say that if there's any specific questions the commission would like to see asked during the interview process, to let Becky or myself know so we can update those questions. And if I remember correctly, there's 3 positions that are ending December 31st. Is that right, Becky?
Right. That would be Dan, Linda, and Pam.
That's what I had. I don't
so
have
what's their process? Same
so
process?
If they're interested in reapplying, would be the same thing. Just submit the application. As soon as that goes live, it'll be done electronically. Submit that, and they'll be subject to the same interview process that we'll go through for all the other candidates.
Okay.
We've had a pretty loosey-goosey process in the past. I won't be shy about that for other boards and commissions, and so we're really trying to get some sort of consistent approach to all of our boards and commissions. And so Jeff and I, like I said, still need to work out some of those fine details, but we'll be getting on that soon because it's just right around the corner.
Great. So what you're envisioning is people's term is going to be up in December, but you're not really going to decide until January. Why not December?
If we can get the timing done appropriately, then December would probably be fine. My only concern is that depending on the workload of the council, there may not be a second meeting in December, given that it's the same week of Christmas.
Holiday.
So it would have to be at the first meeting in December, which is December 7th. Of course, that's the week after Thanksgiving, which usually puts a slowdown on staff time and council time for conducting those interviews. So if we can get on it and get interviews done, early November with appointments made at the first meeting in December with a January 1st effective date, that would be best case scenario.
Yes. Or even October, November, because you can't do it too early, really.
No, you can't do it too early. I think that somehow it's already the middle of September. I don't know if all of you are as shocked by that as I am. Yeah. And so hopefully if we can get applications, posted maybe, the last week of September and then leave those open for 2 weeks and then have interviews late October, first week of November. That's a possibility as well. So I think
where will they be posted, Tyler?
That was going to be my next question, Pam, is where we have not had a lot of interest previously. I don't know if that's a lack of interest because of you know, community members not having the time to invest in the commission, or if it's because we haven't reached more community members. And so I'd love feedback from maybe you, especially Dan, who has just recently applied. Where do you think people are looking for these types of, you know, recruitment advertisements? Where would you suggest we post those that might reach a broader spectrum of community members?
I'm not at all sure. Can you hear me? I'm not sure you can hear me at all.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not at all sure, but I do remember in the discussion of the mural that a lot of people were complaining because they had not received word about the mural. I can only imagine that the same thing is probably true about the announcements. I know that I would not have been aware of it at all had not Becky contacted me.
Okay.
So I don't know.
How about putting it on Kathleen Walker's website?
There you go. Hey,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
Actually, it was posted on the community information page and the other community type pages that I was aware of at the time. It was also, I know that the last time Tyler said he was going to put it in the Sandy Post, but I read it all the time, and I never actually saw a little article about it or a little posting about it anywhere in the post. But I would say Sandy Post and Facebook. Also, there are art groups like the East Artisans Guild, and I sent emails to, that's 30 some people. So I think it's incumbent on the people who are on the commission who have friends that they might be, like I did with Dan, who may have talents that we admire, that we would like to see on the commission, for us to do some outreach as well.
Absolutely.
Are there any legal requirements on where we have to post such things or not?
No, there are, you know, for agendas and things like that for city council meetings, but for recruitment and advertisements like that, there's no requirements that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I think we can do probably a better job at discussing open positions at council meetings during either the council reports or the city manager report. I've had much more interest and many more community members watching those council meetings lately. And reach, you know, a bigger group of people as well.
You also have that new newsletter,
Yep.
city newsletter, and I would recommend putting it in there. And if there's still the water bill little flyer that goes out, kind of a deal, that would be another suggestion.
Yeah. Water bill newsletter has been temporarily suspended because we don't have any events to advertise right now. So hopefully we'll get that going again with maybe a new season in our pandemic situation, although I'm not quite positive that's the case. But any other suggestions of locations, feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and we can absolutely add that to the list.
One thing I've noticed is that there is a tremendous more interest in city politics and city involvement. So my guess is that you're probably going to get more people showing up than we have in the past. And quite frankly, our commissions and our committees have been lacking in people just because it just hasn't been the interest. I don't think it's as much about getting the word out as it is just getting people to attend. But certainly this past year has made everything more sensitive, certainly more aware. And my guess is we'll probably get some people that are never applied before, stepping up forward and doing some of that kind of stuff for all kinds of reasons, which makes me a little concerned about the kinds of people that we're going to see applying for it.
Bingo.
Makes our interview process even that much more important to make sure we look at intent. Don't want to just say no to somebody because they might disagree with us, but certainly we'd like to be able to look for people who are wanting to contribute, be positive about Sandy and the Art Commission. It's important to do that right. Otherwise, getting people who are going to be continually looking for ways to tear us apart or something, that certainly wouldn't be a good process to have in our commission.
Well, I think that art, some type of art background, or in Dan's case, he's not a painter or that kind of artist, but he is a writer and he has other talents that lend itself to the commission. So I feel it's important that we don't all have to be artists on here, but we need to be able to contribute the kinds of things that the Arts Commission really needs.
And there are other kinds of art than graphic arts too. I'm thinking of theater, for instance.
Yes. Okay, if we're ready to move on, let's go to the urban renewal meeting funding update.
Councilor Exner, did you want to provide any information to start with on this update, or do you want me to go ahead and start that, or how would you like to proceed?
I can go ahead and just make some notes. I was thinking earlier today that I was going to try to just explain kind of what the council's position was and then just make some time for questions. I have to tell you that I have a commitment here in about 30 minutes or so that I'd like to get as much through this as I can and answer as much as I can. So the council did take a look at the process and all of the comments that have been made, and there was a lot of recognition that many of those comments either didn't apply or were duplicative from a lot of different formats, and some of them were based on some misinformation. So there was a lot of understanding about that, but also that there was a fair amount of comments that were made that really made some good sense, and that we might want to do some step back and take a look at what those kind of comments meant. There was a tremendous number of comments, well above 500 or 600 numbers. I tried to read them all, and I got to tell you, there was a lot of stuff there, and it was definitely repetitive. Certainly some things that I didn't agree with, but it's not part of the responsibility to be disagreeing with comments. That's a comment is based on a comment, and there isn't really anything that needs to be thrown out because it's not applicable maybe. So anyway, council recognized all of the things that were going on. They also recognized that the mural, more than a few of the council, and I was trying to keep track of all the council members who were very advocative for the mural, wanted the mural to go forward. I was one of those. I know Councilman Smallwood was in favor of it. Council Hamblin was in favor of it. I think the mayor expressed some favorable comments about it. So there was still a fairly, Bethany was well, yes. We're very much in favor of the mural going forward. The thing that came up is that there is some good logic about looking at the bigger picture of things, seeing that a master plan that we've been talking about for, I don't know, since the first of the year, maybe even since we first put the commission together, that is important to do that master plan to get an idea what we would like to see in the city, where it should come from, how it should be applied, what kinds of art, the variety. There's just a whole number of questions that master plan should be able to answer. And in the process of evaluating it during that time, we came up with 3 alternatives. One was to go forward with the mural as it was, just not change anything at all. Tyler, remind me what the second one was. I know the third one was to suspend, and that one was accepted, but it was modified. What was the second one again? I recall.
Yes, so it was, one option was to move forward with no changes. The other option was to suspend or withdraw all funding support from the agency.
That's what it was.
Third option was just suspend financial support until the creation of an arts master plan.
Yeah. And the council did go forward with that third alternative. One thing I did make a strong point on, and I got lots of agreement with the council, is that the council wants to support that master plan to be able to move it forward, both financially, staffing, and whatever else that needs to be applied for that. Now, one thing about the master plan is it's not all within the urban renewal boundary. And so there's going to be some city funds that are going to have to be applied to that, as well as the way the urban renewal dollars. So the urban renewal committee that was evaluating it recognized that there's going to be some city staff, city dollars, city other resources that would have to be expended to make that go. Now, there was no timeline placed on there. I know we've got a lot of conflict already. Some of our staff members who would be key to this to help us out are going to be full of other projects. So we're going to have to find a way to combine that all in there. So, but that was the thing that when we went that direction, it was one of those things that I thought, what an opportunity here. We didn't remove the dollars. We didn't say you're not going to be able to spend those dollars on the mural. We're just going to set them aside for the moment. But in the meantime, this is what really excites me is that the council was ready to move forward on this master plan, which is something that we've been kind of hamstrung by because we really don't have any money set aside, no staffing responsibilities, no priorities. And now we have at least a commitment from council to say, that's what we want to move forward on. Some things that I saw that were really applicable here is that this became a very emotional project. I was just amazed. Maybe I shouldn't be amazed. I'm looking at how the emotion is around council positions coming up in November. This is an election year. Boy, talk about people wanting to be involved. That's why I think there will be a number of people jumping in to say, yes, I'd like to be involved in the art commission, because we do have a lot of emotion around the mural, the way the city's going, the direction of things. It just seems like it's a very important thing for people. And I really applaud that. The city is finally really kind of waking up and saying, we want to be part of the decision that's going on here. So looking forward to that one. And I think just in summary, I think that the art commission is going to get what they really, really want anyway, both the master plan and I believe in the long run, the mural as well. Just that we'll have to take a look at holding back the mural for the moment, at least in terms of the funding of the city. Now, if Becky and the owner of the building want to go forward without the financing of the city, and that includes the commission money that we've set aside as well, it's just a matter of moving forward and having the sign code apply to the mural. And I guess there's some problems with what that looks like because the sign code doesn't fit the mural very well. But this mural wouldn't have any really impediments if the money were to pull aside and we would just set it aside. So there's a possibility of doing it that way as well. If that's not what the council or the commission wants to do, certainly they could get the master plan pulled together and then go forward with all the funding, because the funding has not been deleted, it's just been set aside. I think that's pretty much it. And I'll just open up for questions or any other comments that those who listened or those who want to ask questions, go ahead.
Sure,
Good
Carl. Would
Becky,
it be possible?
Pam.
What?
There's a couple
I just wanted
people
to
asking
hear,
questions.
I wanted to find out if Tyler was going to add something to that, because that may answer some questions. Including, if there was something you wanted to add to that, Tyler?
I think that Carl summed up the end result of that meeting pretty well, that the council ultimately suspended, or the Urban Renewal Board rather, suspended the $11,000 until the creation of a master plan. And Carl really was a champion in getting the motion updated to reflect that funding for a master plan would be identified some way, somehow. So this wasn't just a stagnant project that sits now and doesn't get done. So I don't know exactly what that process looks like yet. I still need to reach out to some other cities that have a master plan and identify, general costs and whether they went through an outside agency to get support or whether it was done in-house. But it's definitely higher up on the project list on my end to get that project started, which will most likely include some time and commitment of support from the commission as well, and not just all staff time. So I will appreciate, when we get to that point, any support that the 7 of you can provide as well.
Okay, so I asked Jeff for the exact wording of the vote that the urban renewal took, because I thought that would be very informative for the Sandy Arts Commission. And this is not the approved verbiage until they approve it in their minutes, but this is what is going to be on the agenda for approval. Suspend authorization of the Urban Renewal Board's $11,000 contribution to the Growing Together mural project, pending development of a art master plan. Okay, so in other words, they would reconsider that $11,000 after the master plan was developed. And then I'm going to skip down to the last sentence of it, which is development of the arts plan is to be supported by the city council with necessary resources. So I think there are two really good points there. They didn't withdraw the funds entirely, and there were a number of commission or councilors who were in favor of the mural, but they just kicked it down the road a year or 2 years from now. So it was not like a final decision like option 2 where they just totally withdraw the funds. They just kicked that down the road. So let's go ahead and ask all the questions. Pam?
Well, two things that have nothing to do with each other. First of all, where does this put the $1,000 that the Art Commission approved to support the mural? Is that suspended as well automatically?
No.
I don't believe so. The motion was very clear that it was the Urban Renewal's $11,000 of support. The Arts Commission has some rather wide latitude to make decisions with the budgeted funds that they have, that $8,000 for the biennium. It was a unanimous decision that the Arts Commission to support or rather contribute $1,000 to this project. And I should clarify that that was a unanimous decision that did not include Becky, as she withdrew herself from that discussion as the artist. So there was a 6-0 vote that made that approval.
I have to say, though, that if, Pamela, I have to say, though, I know it didn't come up in our conversations, but I think in implementation that we wouldn't want, the council wouldn't want the mural to go forward just for the $1,000 that the Art Commission had spent. Now, if the Art Commission wants to do something in preparation for the mural or getting prepared, and I think that might be very well acceptable, but to use it as, let's say the donations came in to supplement the $11,000 and then have the Art Commission to come in and pay the extra $1,000. You'd have to have some rationale for that. Again, the council didn't describe what that was, but it was certainly intended that the city money was to be used, and this is the urban renewal dollars was specific, but that the city was really thinking that the master plan was the first step rather than the second step of this two processes.
Also,
Okay, well,
remember, Pam, that the city council on May 4th unanimously verbally supported the mural concept of growing together.
mhm.
And that we went to them after they suggested that we raise funds to see what the level of community support was. We went
Right.
back to them and asked for $11,000. They saw the community support was there and they granted it.
Right.
So this Urban Renewal Board vote is a separate item from anything else.
Right, and I understand that, but my question is, there's personal donations outstanding, and there's the Art Commission $1,000 donation for a particular mural. If that changes, it needs to be discussed, is all.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be exciting I think it'd be exciting if the community said, oh my goodness, the Urban Renewal Committee is not going to support it, so the rest of us will. And
Well, I
I could see
agree.
exciting things to happen to see that
I
mural go
agree.
forward without the,
I agree, but I wouldn't want people to say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what if the mural were to change or something like that, I wouldn't want people to not be aware what they're supporting at all.
sure. With all the input that you got over the last couple of months, certainly there is a component of folks, pretty significant component of folks who have a lot of interest here. And
Yeah,
again, this is an
right.
emotional decision based on a lot of
Mhm.
things that are out there.
I'd also like to bring up the point that the council asked us to have, or the Urban Renewal Board did, ask us to have listening sessions, listen to what the public wanted, to incorporate some things that addressed the community feedback, and the artist would put those things into the design,
Mm-hmm.
which I sent a report to everyone. And in the urban renewal meeting, that report was completely ignored. Not one single word was mentioned about what the artists did to address what they had been asked to address on July 20th. So I think what they asked for was for some changes to be made. And when we get to the update in public comment, I think those things will be addressed. If we could just save that discussion for the public after the public comment. Because I, as the artist, will speak then, not as the Arts Commission at that point.
So just so I understood it was that if we had decided as the Urban Renewal Board to continue to go forward with the mural funding, that would have been a very inclusive conversation with what all those comments meant that were applicable and your input as the artist. I think as it went to that alternative 3, it became obvious that we should set it aside, and the council wanted to go forward on another strategy. So that was in my mind, that was why we never got to that kind of discussion.
I did have another question, but if this
Sure.
train of thought, if people have more comments on this train of thought, I'll wait.
Pamela, I got to scoot here in the next 5 or 6 minutes, so go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Would it be possible for the Art Commission to be under another board, I don't know, planning or whatever board would be appropriate, so that we would have the resources, people resources and so on that we need?
That certainly is an area that had not been discussed, but how the Art Commission got placed underneath Tyler is a matter of opportunity, Tyler's experience, the ability to put more stuff on his plate. I don't think there's any real logical rationale that the city manager used, and it would be the city manager's authority to decide where to put the commission's responsibility at, much like what he did when he put Tyler in responsibility. And before that, I'll think of his name here in a bit. And it was just one of those things that, if you've got a suggestion and it makes some really good sense, I suspect that Jordan would consider it. But at this point, I think it pretty much lays in his decision power. And I don't know that the council would argue very much, or could argue very much either way. But you guys have your own kind of future in your own hands. If you wanted to go forward in a different direction, as long as it had some good thought through process, I think it would be listenable.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, do you have any
Thank you.
thoughts about that as well?
Well, we're
What's
going
your
to be
thought?
actually bringing that point up later in the meeting. So if it's 6:30, so I just wanted to kind of wrap it up because you said you needed to be gone by 6:30. So
I will stick here as long as this process works.
okay.
The
So
other,
Dan, Dan has a idea that he wanted to bring forward, and I thought the work session would be a good time if you wanted to address that now.
I think perhaps you misunderstood me a little bit. Not so much that I have an idea, but I did receive from you, I think, a thing about the grants. The Clackamas County puts out a couple of grants. I just wondered whether we ought to discuss, or whether anybody else has any idea about what kinds of grants we would want to, what kinds of projects we would want to apply for grants for, so that if there are things, we could get started on that. I'm happy to put together grant applications, but I would want some input on what we're applying for and what kinds of projects we are gonna pursue.
I think something like that would have to be specific projects, wouldn't they?
Precisely. Very, very much so.
And the deadline is very shortly. I think it's in October.
Sounds right.
But I
But
think
the-
it's the kind of thing that the Arts Commission should be discussing through the year, so that when these different grants that have different windows of opportunity come along, that you have the right project for the amount you can get. That
Yep.
the grant that I sent to you was I think a $5,000 maximum.
25.
They
2,500.
Mhm,
Oh, I saw that.
2,500.
2,500.
And
I've applied for
usually,
these grants
if you
before.
apply for 2,500, you end up with about half of that.
Not so. Not so.
But
That used to be true. Nowadays, because I've done this a few times before, usually, or at least the last couple of years, if you apply for 2,500, you either get it or you don't.
Good.
Generally speaking, there are exceptions to that, but well, to tell the truth, I've never had one turned down.
Good. So,
All right.
okay, I want to go ahead, and it's past 6:15. If we could call to order the regular meeting, and we'll touch on some of these things we've already discussed in the regular meeting. So if we could do the roll call.
Just, I'm gonna have to disappear, but I will look at the meeting afterwards.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Carl.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right, roll call. Commissioner Morrow,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Senek,
Here.
Commissioner Bosserman,
Here.
Commissioner Smithstead,
Here.
Commissioner Malone. Excused, I think, if I can speak on your behalf, Becky.
Okay,
And then Commissioner Holly.
here.
Thank you.
Are there any other attendees?
We do have one member of the public, and then Jeff, obviously, who's recording the meeting.
Okay. Well, if we only have one other person, I would like to move to change the agenda. We only have one potential speaker. I'd like to do the minutes now, if we could. Are there any objections to that?
None.
None.
No.
Okay, did everyone get a chance to read the meetings, and you're ready to call for the, make them, anybody want to?
Make a motion to okay the minutes as provided.
Okay,
I will abstain because I wasn't there. I missed it.
okay. Do we have a
I
second?
propose we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, do you have that, Tyler?
Yeah, Pamela, I think you need to second the motion, and I can just amend the language right there. So moved by Marcia, seconded by Pam.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sandra, thumbs up? Okay, got thumbs up.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to find out if the visitor has any public comment.
Attendees, if you have any public comment and would like to speak, please either raise your hand, or if you're calling in via phone, dial *6. Hand is up. Hold on just a moment. I have Kathleen Walker. Kathleen, you should be able to speak as soon as you unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can,
Yes.
yes.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask the question of whether anybody has, well, a couple questions. One is, what is the cost of doing a master plan? Has anybody done one or know of one that's been done, and how much it costs? That's my first question.
I don't have an answer to that yet, Ms. Walker. I do have very close to the top of my list contacting a few other cities in Oregon that have an arts master plan to determine what they used as a process, what their budget was, but I have not had a chance to get those phone calls placed yet.
When Commissioner Smithstead and I were looking at various plans, and also Commissioner Mural, I ran across a plan, a proposal that was $12,000 that was put together, but I can't recall which municipality that was, but that was just one of many master plans that we were looking at. So I don't remember. That's the only one I found a figure with.
Okay.
Did you have anything else?
I understand that you all have allocated that. I guess what I understand is you have $1,000 that was kind of dedicated to the Arts Commission for use for, projects or things that you had felt were important. And so I would, I know that I don't believe there's any allocated money in the budget to do an arts plan, but there probably is some costs associated with, either, getting some RFPs put together or something like that, and using that $1,000 for something like that would seem like something to consider to kind of move you down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do have a budget. The Sandy Arts Commission does have a budget. And I believe Tyler is checking into potential plan when a consulting company comes in and just puts them together. If you read lots of the master plans, they almost sound like they came out of the same cookie cutter mill.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure that there's a company out there who's done quite a few of them. All you have to do is look at the credits on the master plan and find out who's putting out the kind of the cookie cutter one that's recent. But as far as I know, we are going to be discussing the master plan a little bit later, as far as what we've done already, which we formed a committee to work on it. So that's, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up before we switch?
Thank you for that information. I just wanted to, encourage engaging the community more about, about the direction that master plan goes, about the kind of the sideboards that get put in there with respect to, how projects get, kind of the process side of things, but really engaging the public on, what they'd like to see. And I think, Facebook can be, it's a double-edged sword. I understand it can be very cutting and critical, a lot of criticism. And it can also be a way to get the word out and get a lot of great ideas out there. So I encourage you all to just kind of, really reach out. And I think there's, folks like Carl said, there's a lot of folks who are interested in what y'all are doing and want to have some input on that. And, the Sandy residents are a key part of kind of helping shape the future of our, parks, our trails, our art, and our town. And I appreciate all the work that you guys have done to date on that front. And I hope that there's the ability for the public to continue to, have a voice in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. So that's our only visitor currently, correct?
We do have one more.
Good.
Hold on just a moment. It looks like we have Nina Alter. Miss Alter, you should be able to speak once you unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so I'm an arts professional and I've been a designer for over 20 years. And I've been following a lot of the conversation. I was at the city council meeting earlier this week, and I've been in past arts commission meetings, as well as having observed the Facebook spiral, we could call it. And a concern that I've consistently had, and that is especially high with this idea of a master plan being considered, is that there are really constructive ways to moderate discussion about subjective topics, especially on the city council meeting. I was hearing all of the council members kind of sit there and shrug and say, well, art's subjective, I can't have an opinion about it. And it was hard sitting there wanting to kind of scream, like, there are really great ways to contribute to a discussion when there's structure to it. And so my concern is, with the master plan, how would that be getting put to use in the community? How would it factor in voices in the community? And I feel like one of the most missing pieces in the entire process to date, as I've observed it, is just simply a lack of moderation around dialogue. And that what moderation I have seen has been, oh, we're only open to keeping dialogue within this incredibly narrow scope. And that's not moderation, that's shutting people down. But moderation is really, really necessary to keep, critique constructive. And it's essential because most people don't have the skills to discuss visual or subjective topics. And that's the job of a moderator. So I just kind of wanted to flag that and also ask, who on the Arts Commission does have a professional background in the arts? And, could that person be employed in such moderation tasks?
So what your question was how many people on the commission are professionals? Is that right?
Have formal training in the arts or are creative professionals themselves?
Well, let's see. I would say since I have been receiving 1099s, that makes me a professional artist. I've been filing such as on my taxes for 15 or more years. I believe, Sandra, can you say what your background is? I'm sorry, we can't hear you, Sandra. Oh, sorry.
I can't hear any.
How about
Sandra?
Marcia? Marcia, you want to talk about?
Marcia, yeah, I've been an artist for many, many years. I'm currently been a watercolor artist for 9 years, selling a lot of my product. I also am a co-owner type in a gallery in Troutdale that we started up, and it's been in existence for less than a year so far. And within that, we have the bottom floor that we use as a teaching center. So we're having lots of classes. People come in and teach classes on art, any kind of art.
Mm-hmm. Pam?
I am an artist and I sell my work in a number of different venues.
Lou?
Been a photojournalist for almost 40 years.
Thank you. Dan?
Well, depending on your definition of art, I've been on the board for the San Diego Theater for over 10 years. I've acted, produced, and written plays. So if that counts.
Yeah, it does.
Mm. And all of these are great methods for creative, all of these are awesome contributions to creative expression and giving to the community with regards to, creative outputs. I guess my concern is that when you are forced to work with clients on a daily basis as a creative professional working with agencies and corporations and whatnot, there's a certain discipline and rigor that is really taught in design school or art school in formal training, which I hate to say because I can't stand the elitism of this whole do you have a degree? Like, well, who cares how much your parents could spend on your education? But the point is that it contributes to a language that helps keep discussions constructive and focused. And moderation is very, very difficult. And my only concern is wanting to make sure that such a constructive moderation so that people like the city council members who kind of just sat there and were like, I don't know, it's subjective, so that the moderator could give them tools to speak to and the community tools to speak to, and that could be a part of a master plan.
Thank you, Nina, for your comments.
I'd like to ask Nina if she's volunteering.
Well, we've made that suggestion before.
Oh, okay.
So
I would love to
there any
volunteer,
other-
but I don't have dozens upon hours to volunteer to write a thing from scratch. If you have ideas, Dan, I'd love to hear them.
We continually ask for volunteers, and if you'd like to volunteer, if you would leave your information and point of interest at cityart@cityofsandy.com, then for sure they would be able to contact you.
You also have my information too, Becky.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said you also have my information too, and we have corresponded, so
Okay.
you could also facilitate that.
All righty. So are there any other guests that we have on the line? Okay. I'm going to move on. We're going to public comment, which I, as the artist on the mural project, am giving an update, stepping down as a commissioner to do this section. So the building owner and I are still planning to do the mural and change the design to accommodate the public feedback that we received, as had been requested on July 20th by the Urban Renewal Board, and as my report states that I would do. So the Urban Renewal Board has been given a copy of that report. And the main difference that we are going to make, based on the fact that the urban renewal funding is suspended pending a master plan, is to go ahead with a less expensive version of the mural and paint the wall instead of using $9,800 worth of steel to create the mural. The artwork would be designed to accommodate the three-dimensional blocks that are on the wall. Not the mural that I certainly would like to do, but the folks who think that the city should be spending their money on the pool and the potholes would be probably pretty pleased with this decision, as it will not require any additional funds other than what's been raised already in the art fund. Since the design will be done in paint, it won't be possible to do the large figures that were originally in the design. Therefore, I'm asking for the targeted donations to support those large figures be returned to the donors. There'll be smaller figures, which will be flocking birds and other small animals to illustrate the story of migration, working together and getting along, as the theme of the mural is growing together. The library section will remain with a few small changes, as will the wall of knowledge. Hand-painted flowers will still be done on vines, and the Cultivate Kindness theme will continue. The design features a focal point where the tree was, a larger focal point. The project will take until the 1st of July next year, and the centerpiece of the mural will be revealed at that time. The theme Growing Together will be supported with the concepts of planting seeds, as was the case before, as planting seeds for the future, being kind to one another, and working together for a better tomorrow. So the donations in the fund would be used for the Growing Together sign and the Cultivate Kindness and the main plaque, as well as the lighting over the, hello little Tyler, as well as the lighting over that dark pit that is the, on the right-hand side of the building, the north side of the building. That will include doing the lighting there. So those are the main changes in the mural. The theme is the same. The thrust of the concept is the same, but because the large-scale items are not going to be done, which will please a lot of people, and it'll be a more traditional painted mural, so that should please a number of people. And as soon as the smoke lifts and the painters can get in to clean the building, then that will commence. Are there any questions?
What's the estimated cost of this?
The lighting, the sign lights are a special light that the city approves for the dark skies ordinance, and that'll run about $1,000. The sign, the Growing Together sign, will be about $1,500, and the main plaque will run around $1,000. Then there'll be paint, and as far as I know, there will not be the requirement for a building permit as there was before with the larger silhouettes. So that will also be a savings.
Becky, may I ask what you based your changes, a lot of these change ideas and points of tweaking around?
Well, actually, we have had about 15 meetings on the subject, 15 different meetings. And so I'm basing it on the feedback that was from all of those meetings, as well as, remember, Nina, that there were donations in the amount of around $8,000 pledged to the project. So not all those pledges will come to fruition, I'm sure, and then we have to return the money for the large figures that are not going to be done. Although there may be some donors who still want to make some pledge toward the mural. But I would like to know if there's any other questions from the commission. before I finish my public comment.
Since this is being modified, would we have to reapprove it? Because we approved one thing already, your original design.
Mhm.
I think I'd be a little more comfortable if I can see the modified design myself. Not that I don't want to do the project, I just want to see what your modifications would look like.
Right, that's what I was suggesting earlier, Lou, as well.
Yeah, and I agree with Lou on that. I can't okay something that's just not, I don't know what it is. I need to kind of see it.
Okay. So as the artist, I can present you with a design, although I'm not sure how much good that's going to do
Right.
next month.
Right.
Okay. So,
We may need to call a special meeting, you know, a 10-minute meeting that we notice, just like we would any other meeting, to do a revote on that. But I do think in an effort to be transparent with what the Arts Commission is supporting, having a revote on the design is probably the safest course of action.
okay. Well, I'll leave that to the commission to take care of next month then. So I'm going to convert back to my role as the Arts Commission Chair.
Are we still in the public comment phase?
I think we're done with public comment now.
One more member of the public that would like to speak again.
If it's somebody we've already heard from, then we need to move on with the rest of the meeting. If it's a new person, we can give them their minutes.
It is someone that's already spoken. Ms. Walker, if you'd like to just submit a comment via email, we can include that in the minutes for this meeting.
Thank you, Tyler. So we're moving on to the new business. The Arts Master Plan discussion. I think it's good to review that a little bit. Also, Pam had brought up the how the Arts Commission fits with the scheme of things. And so I would like to address that. So communication when the commission was first started was lacking, and that would be kind and mild to say. And there were a lot of examples of things that we didn't really know about the city. For instance, we didn't know that we had a budget until months into the existence of the commission. And Tyler, as the finance guy, told us that we had already spent $5,000 before we even knew we had a budget. We didn't know that murals were under the sign code for Sandy, and that's in the planning department. We didn't know that David Snyder was working on with the artist of the Centennial mural to arrange maintenance that summer. And so our big question when we started hearing these things is, why is Sandy Arts Commission not a part of the city functions? Why are we on the outside of everything? And why do we not know about anything months and almost a year into our existence? And so we started wondering about how the commission could be integrated into the city's process, and especially where art is a part of the plan. So we realized that the fact of the matter is that the Arts Commission is an orphan in the city. The commission is not connected to any department or staff as the Planning Commission or other boards are. And this lack of support really leaves us at a disadvantage, especially in regard to staff time. And it's been a pleasure, Tyler, to work with you. And our connection to you is important for the commission, because when budget comes around, that would be a really good, your experience there would be really helpful. Also, your knowledge about how the departments work and that kind of thing, it has been really helpful. And we really appreciated that. And so it may sound like I'm at some points criticizing you for being lacking in some way, but that is absolutely not the case, because I know that your job as finance officer is really important, and that that's your main focus, and it really should be. And we really appreciate that we really appreciate everything that you do for us. But looking at the big picture, where does the commission fit into the city? Because in some ways, our Title 18 mandate says that we need to use art as a economic development tool. That's in our mandate. So you might think that we would maybe have a fit with the economic development part of Sandy. On the other hand, murals are a part of the sign code, and the planning department is a great resource for finding and opportunities for public art. But ultimately, the commission really needs to be somebody's priority, or it won't function as it should. So that being said, we did begin work on the master plan some months ago, and we started with other cities' master plans as templates, and we feel that the package should contain guide documents for a properly functioning arts commission, and give residents a map with directions to follow, so that they know what the process is. Because speaking from someone who's been a part of the commission, a part of the city back in 2009, 10, and 11, when they were choosing the Centennial Mural and the Centennial Plaza Fountain, I've been associated with the city in a number of ways over the years. And the process to go through to get, say, this mural done was a little bit opaque. So I think that having a clearly outlined mural policy is going to be very helpful for the commission, the city council, as well as the community and the artists as well. Pam and I worked on that mural policy. We have a lot of questions, and it's gone to Tyler. Hopefully at some point someone will be able to pick it up, ask the right questions, follow through with some stakeholder meetings, and get public input and create a mural policy. That's a part of, that's like one document or one section of a master plan. I think a lot of the initial work, as Tyler mentioned in the urban renewal meeting, I think that a lot of the initial work can be done by knowledgeable commissioners, but staff time and professionals will be needed. After the bones of the master plan are put together, they need to flesh it out with stakeholder meetings and staff to coordinate to make sure that the policies are consistent with code, and in some cases, right code. It also is going to require at some point someone who can professionally package the master plan together with inspiring photos and slick graphics to give it a professional look and to make sure all the bits and pieces are put together professionally. And so I foresee that process is going to take probably at least a year, and very possibly a year and a half or 2 years. It just depends on having someone who can prompt that project through all the hoops that it needs to go through. So I think we really talked about the master plan a little bit, and I would like to know if there's any discussion that you would like to have around the master plan at this time. Okay.
I don't have anything specific to the master
I don't have
plan.
anything.
I will say, just to piggyback off of your mural policy comments that you made, it sounds like the Development Services Department is looking at making some modifications to the sign code coming up, which is a perfect time for us to piggyback on that with a mural policy, given that it's vaguely referenced in the sign code, but not overly detailed or clear. And so I think that we can make that a priority in the next, I don't want to give it a specific timeline, maybe the next 2 months or so, as the Development Services team works on the sign code. We can look at that mural policy and get some of those questions answered that you have identified in there, and move that process forward. So
Right.
it's not just sitting there any longer. I think it is,
Right.
the wheels are starting to move on that cart.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else, Pam?
No, not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay. So we're moving on to engaging Sandy residents. I think we talked about that in the workshop quite a bit, and I think there were some pretty good ideas. I'm hoping that someone took notes on some of those outlets that can be engaged. And then I also would like to say that we have been informed, the commission has been informed that the city council will either update the Title 18 residency requirements, or they will simply give priority in any interviews to Sandy residents. And so I would like to say that it is my hope that they will find a suitable Sandy resident to fill my space, because I plan to resign effective at the end of this meeting. I want you to know that I don't mind volunteering from time to time for something, but I think it's been pretty clear that that this has been coming, and I have other things to move on to. And so I want to say, even though that I've enjoyed working with a number of people in Sandy, I think it's time to leave Sandy to do Sandy's business. And I think that'll be a positive change for me as well. So I wish all the best to all of you.
And to you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
everything
you.
you've done.
Thank you, Becky. You've done a wonderful job. Thank you very
Thank-
much.
Thank you for all your hard work.
I can speak on behalf of the city that we've appreciated everything you have done with the mural restorations and starting the process on various start tasks like the master plan and mural policies that haven't been completed yet, but you definitely got the ball rolling on some of those things that would not have been identified without your desire and your willingness to serve in this role. So thank you. I was not expecting that to happen right now, so I don't have a more eloquent response. I apologize for that, but thank you very much for your provided.
Thank you for everything you've done too, Tyler. Sandra, you look like you're talking, but nothing's coming out. You don't know.
You'd have to do sign language at this point. I don't know.
Write us a note.
All right. So is there anything else? Does anybody have anything else for the meeting?
Well, I think we need to think about what we're going to do about the fact that we need an active and acting commission leader for the rest of the year.
I nominate Pam.
Was that Dan?
Yep.
You didn't let me finish my sentence. I was going to nominate Dan.
No, thank you anyway.
I will say timing this works out because the bylaws state that a new chair is appointed in October. So we would be having part of this conversation at the beginning of the next meeting. So we might just either advance that now and have that discussion now, or
exactly.
Let things lie until the beginning of the October meeting, in which we can circle back and discuss a chair at that point.
I think we should circle back at that point. It's been rather sudden here.
So for the agenda for the next meeting, Tyler will probably be taking suggestions from everyone, because there won't be a chair at this point unless you would like to nominate someone and do it now. I think Tyler will be just setting the agenda for next meeting.
Well, we do have a vice
Tyler?
chair, have we not?
Pardon me?
Yes, Marcia is the vice chair, but Marcia is going to send in her resignation letter probably within the week, so I won't be on the commission any longer. I've got a gallery to run, and I don't have enough bandwidth.
Yeah. Can anybody hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you, Cindy.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Welcome.
great. Okay, just following suit with Marcia and Becky, I will be putting in my resignation also. So the city can get all of the people they need to have the credentials, whatever it is that's going to be taken. But
Right.
it's too much for me. I can't take the constant back and forth, and the city is government at its finest,
Right.
Well,
So I will be turning mine in also.
Sounds like we need to make a massive recruitment program.
Exactly, and that's why it needs to start very early somehow.
Well, I also know that Linda Malone is running for a council seat. So should she get that, that would be another empty chair. If she doesn't, then she's a city resident.
Tyler, do you know whether the council is going to make some changes on requirements for council members to be city residents?
It was a topic that was discussed, but there's been no decisions made in that regard. And it's not, at least to my knowledge, on any upcoming agenda for the council to make a change at this point in time. It's not to say that that couldn't happen, but on my little cheat sheet of upcoming council meetings, I do not see anything in regards to that at this point.
It makes a lot of sense to me to leave it the way it is and then just make your preferential decisions,
That sounds wise to me too.
Until the time when we're overrun with applicants, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we need a recruiting drive.
Mhm.
Yep.
which,
Right.
which I think could work out pretty well. For one thing, rather than just put out announcements, we could write some press releases with a strong emphasis on PR. We could reach out to not just the Post in general, but to Brittany, for instance, and invite her to write a story about it.
Yeah.
Could you and Dan work on that, Lou?
I certainly, and I have
Dan?
I have good contacts with Brittany, and I know I can get her interested.
Great, because it sounds like it really needs to be done really soon.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. You might want to consult with Miss Walker. She seemed to have several friends that would like to be on the committee also.
Great.
Okay.
All righty. Anything else from anybody?
No, I think we've
No.
said it all.
All right.
Yep.
Then this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you,
Bye.
Jeff.
Thank you, everyone.